sitting next to me is Arvind Pani, founder of Reverie Language Technologies, and you would have heard recently Reverie got acquired by Reliance. And today we are going to talk about 2-3 things. One, why acquisition of Reverie by Reliance is a win for India, where we are competing with tech giants across the world. Second, personally as an entrepreneur, what gets me very excited about this story is that I've had the fortune of knowing Arvind since last 10 years, since he started Reverie Language Technologies, and to me, he proves that good guys win. If you do something with great commitment, passion, and such a sincerity, which you will, when you listen to him, you'll get to know what I'm talking about, you go and win. And third is that, outcomes. When we define success, or when we talk about success benchmark as entrepreneurs, as our teams, for investors, what does success mean? And it's no way saying that this is what success should mean, but why do we only celebrate $1 billion? What more should we be celebrating, and what each one of us should be, feeling really proud. I'm very proud of Arvind, and I'm very, very, very proud of Reverie Language Technologies and what he's built. So I've forced him to come here and talk to all of us and tell us about his journey, and we'll go into the details about the acquisition and different stuff. So first, before we get into how much money you would have made and what all Ferraris you're buying and all those stuff, let's talk about Reverie Language Technologies and the journey. What these last 10 years have been building hardcore tech product out of India.
Yeah, so maybe I should start from the beginning.
Yeah.
2009 when we started. So if I look at this journey over 10 years, then it essentially has got 3 phases. The first phase was 2009 when we had this idea of languages. The origin of the idea was, it was around that time when feature phones were getting to masses.
Yeah.
Right? Android had just about launched its gingerbread operating system. Okay? And and they thought that Indians don't exist. So there was no Indian language support in that. And we thought, that was the time when we thought about language equality.
Yeah.
And what equality means. Up to that point in time, media meant either print or television or cinemas.
Yeah.
Now, for Indian language users or English language users, there was no barrier.
Yeah.
It was as easy to access media of these 3 that I mentioned, whether it is cinema or TV or newspaper. It was as easy to access those in English, in Indian languages as in English.
Yeah.
But the moment we're talking about mobile phones in those days, even SMS communication was not possible in Indian languages.
Yes.
So we were thinking that if digital is something going to go masses, then how is it possible to do that?
But I have to interject here. He thought of it in 2009. These days we are talking about local languages and all that is becoming like the buzzword in the VC and all that space. But sometimes the success which comes, it takes like many, many years, and he has taken 10. Yeah, continue.
Okay. So when we saw that, then we said maybe the things which are required in mobile phones at that point in time, I would term those as building blocks. That means ability to type, having a keyboard, having fonts, ability to display those. Now today when we are using, or anytime we have been using a mobile phone in English language, we don't think about a keyboard or a font to begin with.
Yeah.
Those are given, but those were not given for Indian language.
Yes.
So those are the building blocks. That's how we started. That's how we, that's what we built. Then over a period of time, those became kind of default on the mobile phones, right? So today if you see whether it is Android or iOS or any operating system, they come with Indian language support, but it has taken almost like 8-9 years for that to come into fruition. That was first phase, and during that time when we were talking about languages, right, we used to get very skeptical looks that languages in India, does that have any commercial value at all? You are chasing something that is, you're just unlikely to succeed.
how, of course, initial days were a lot of skepticism. There was a lot of novelty to what you were doing. But how did you stay grounded to your cause? How did you continue? How did you look at financials, revenue, and all that stuff?
We stayed focused because we wanted to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Like I said, the building blocks were one. The other thing that we wanted to build was on the content side of it, which is what we launched in the year 2015. Language as a service platform, which had got, which has our ability to convert content from one language to another language. It has got interfaces like text and speech interface where users can interact. Then our ability to understand user-generated content, like understanding intent, doing sentiment analysis. So all of these things we launched under our language as a service platform in 2015, and since then we have been working on that. Now we actually bootstrapped for almost 6 years, and that was not easy. Okay, and we bootstrapped. I will be very proud to say that we bootstrapped our startup to $1 million in revenue.
Great.
Before we raised Series A.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are very few companies who can claim to have worldwide bootstrapped to $1 million in revenue before raising Series A. And I would also like to definitely thank our investors, Qualcomm and Aspada. So we were winners of Qualcomm's Q Prize way back in 2011.
Yes.
That's where YourStory had covered that event. Yeah. That's where we got to know about YourStory, and YourStory got to know about Reverie.
Yes.
So we bootstrapped, and then of course we had revenues. We had revenues since 2012. So combination of Q Prize, our revenues, and we also turned profitable. That's how we bootstrapped, and then we raised Series A. So to mention about our investors, one is during the time when there were very few investors who were willing to believe in our story.
Yeah.
So Qualcomm backed us right from the beginning, since the Q Prize days.
Yeah.
They also participated in our next round of funding, which was our Series A funding. And as part as the philosophy of the fund being India focused and funding companies who are solving hard problems, right? So it was immense support from both of them as well when we raised our Series A.
One question which keeps coming to my mind, and it's always amazing to get entrepreneurs who've done such a long journey, is did you have doubts when you were, in the early days when people were questioning? A lot of investors were also questioning, right? Because there's always this thing, ab cool ho gaya hai, magar us samay nahi tha, that India is back of beyond, there is no money, who's going to pay? So did you feel at some point that, oh, this is not working, or did you what were those moments like? How did you deal with those things?
A number of times I felt that. Then during the times when we were building the product initially, bootstrapping, that's when we got enormous amount of help from friends. So friends actually personally supported, right? It was not investment in the company, but personally supported us with finances. Then there were angel investors also. Okay. Now you must have heard this quote that success is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. My quote is that success is 99% luck and 1% perseverance to get lucky.
Wow.
So most of us, and you are an entrepreneur, you will relate to that unless we have luck and providence on our side, it's difficult to progress. But most of us who give up actually fall into the category of not being in that 1% who persevere to get lucky.
One of the conversations here is, of course, today we can talk because you have had a very successful exit, and we'll come to that. But the thing is, I've always seen you very true and committed. I've never seen you wavering, right? To the point of being too, like, होता है ना, मतलब उसी लकीर पे चलते रहना and believing in it. How hard is it? Like,
it is very hard, okay, and when things are happening around you, it's no doubt a big distraction. But I would say that naturally my personality type is such that I don't get distracted.
I know.
So our focus was to really build a platform, and that's what we did. And whatever was happening around us, It's like, okay, if there are either funding, startup, exit, all of those things are happening, those are fine. Those are maybe good for those startups, but whatever we thought was right for us, we felt was right for us, we continued along those lines, which was remaining true to building a local language platform, a complete platform in fact, and that's what we continue to do.
Yeah. So if I may say so, then you had a very ruthless is not the word, but you have a very focused prioritization to your cause, and you didn't get distracted with so much of noise.
That's right.
कि $1 billion कभी लगा नहीं कि $1 billion बनना है?
कभी नहीं लगा। अगर हमारे जर्नी में $1 billion हो गया तो अच्छा है, but ऐसा नहीं लगा। But because I've asked that question, I will also put some perspective. I like this quote, that's one of my favorite quotes of Steve Jobs,
Yeah.
that you cannot connect the dots looking forward,
Yeah.
but the dots actually get connected looking backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the decisions that I took, being a first generation entrepreneur, I had no clue on what basis, what awareness I'm taking those decisions.
Yeah.
Those are just like instinctively you feel that something is right, something is not right.
Yeah.
So we had turned down a term sheet in 2011, okay, which we did not take. And in hindsight, if I look at it, then it worked out well, because at this point in time when we had an exit, so if I take the promoters and the stock options which were there for our employees, that was extremely rewarding for our employees and the promoters in this exit. And similarly, the returns that we could give to our existing investors were pretty good. And it's also pretty satisfying that this is an acquisition where the tech gets a place for massive scale.
Yeah.
Our mission is language equality on the internet, and which means that cannot be achieved unless we reach millions of users. And in India, there is no other company other than Reliance which could have provided us that platform.
But the thing is that, coming to this is, to me, it was a very successful, because we hear about these $1 billion exits get celebrated, or the other thing that happens is, "Arey, exit kyun hua? Why couldn't you have run it?" But I thought there is a middle ground where you stand, which is today you have delivered success for everyone and to your vision also, right? No, tell us about this. How did this decision happen? Why did you take this decision? Why didn't you continue on your own? Tell us, because entrepreneurs who are thinking whether to continue, acquire, tell us.
Yeah. So I'm very clear about the reasons why I took this decision, which I will mention in a moment. But going back to the relationship that we have had with Reliance,
Yeah.
it's about maybe about 2.5 years or 3 years that we had our first engagement with them, where we provided our technology for their hospital application. Then subsequently, we also had a relationship with them where the Reliance Jio phones, which are shipping right now,
Yeah.
the entire text interface and services which are there are all powered by Reverie.
Wow.
So that's been there close to 2 years now. So we had a pretty good working relationship with Reliance. They knew our capabilities and pretty much happy with what they had seen. And then when we had expanded into other parts like speech and natural language understanding, that interested them, and this discussion moved forward, and that's how we took it to conclusion. Now the reasons why I
took the
this
decision. Yeah.
So there is a personal side to it, and there is a professional or entrepreneurial side. So let me first address the entrepreneurial one. Like I mentioned, the biggest reason, okay, so which is what I also tell my team right now, is that this is mission 3x3. Okay, 3 things we want to achieve in next 3 years time.
Wow.
Okay. The first mission is that get to 500 million users, touch 500 million. Reverie's language technologies need to touch 500 millions in next 3 years time. Then an Indian company becoming the best in Indian technologies.
Oh,
Indian
kya baat hai. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Let's not miss the hidden nuances in this line. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Then the third one. So Indian language standards don't get defined today in India. We want those to be defined by Indian companies because we understand Indians better.
Yes.
Define those and get those implemented so that anybody who does business in India actually follows those standards.
Yes.
The standards today are totally messed up, and that is why digital Indian languages in digital medium are also totally messed up. So these are 3 missions to achieve in next 3 years.
Wow, very ambitious. But I'm going to get back to the second mission, Arvind. Is it? See, we always say, oh, Google's, Facebook, and all these, platforms. Chahe wo jo bhi ho, there's always this comparison that Indian technology is still not at par with these. But what you are imagining and dreaming is very, very, very ambitious.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
are you going to do it in next 3 years?
Well, so one is that I will tell you the broad nuances of what's required. One is that it requires very deep understanding of properties of Indian languages.
Yeah.
How Indian languages or scripts behave differently from European scripts.
Yeah.
Right? English is also considered, or Roman is also considered a European script. How that's different. Then with that understanding, building a team that can deliver.
Yeah.
Right? Now, having a small team, we were having a lot of challenges. Access to data.
Yeah.
Data for, let's say, for our machine translation for speech.
Yeah.
Now, all of those things go away because of this partnership. And then, of course, access to funds. Right? So, being an Indian company focused on Indian market, B2B, right? You know how difficult it is to convince investors. So, these were the reasons that I considered. Apart from that, like I mentioned, that to me a successful startup is, apart from solving a very unique and hard problem, our ability to give meaningful returns to investors,
Yeah.
to our employees, and then in the process also creating wealth for founders.
Yeah.
So all of these things have been met. And one more important thing that I would like to mention is that deep within I am very, very Indian, right? I would not have liked to raise funds from a Chinese company unless my hands were totally tied. That's one. And second one is I'm glad that we have partnered with an Indian company that is solving problem for Indians here.
Yeah.
Right? These are like very, very close to my heart. And the third one is that in the journey of 10 years, I'm very proud to say that we have managed to conduct business very ethically.
Yes.
Have not paid bribe, even 1 paisa of bribe during our entire journey. So combination of all of these things makes me very proud that we have come to this stage.
No, we are all, I'm sure everyone watching is very proud that you've come to this stage. So the personal angle which you were saying for this decision is also your Indianness?
Of course, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So staying in India, partnering with an Indian company to solve an Indian problem, creating wealth for Indians, all of these things matter to me.
Again, want to say that, your employees have also won, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That matters to me a lot because any effort like this, okay, and this is really something that I would like to convey as a message to the entire Indian startup ecosystem. One is that there is entrepreneurship the hard way, where people like you and me, we have put a lot of skin in the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's burning.
Then building something like this is not, it's a team effort.
Yes.
And there are a lot of team members, especially the ones who join you in the early days. They believe in this dream. They don't join for any other purpose.
Yes.
They don't join because all the hoopla going around about billion-dollar exits or
I work I work here.
Yeah, exactly, those kind of things.
Yeah.
So they need to feel that, okay, they have created some value and therefore it's meaningful for them as well. See, it's very easy to get into a corporate high-paying job, get some good salary, where you are not able to relate to why you are getting that salary, what value you are adding to be able to do that. But in this case, it's a direct correlation.
Yeah.
So that's extremely satisfying for me as an entrepreneur, and I'm really proud of those folks who have created this value.
One big takeaway I'm taking from this is 2019, it's 8th April, and here sitting next to me is an entrepreneur who's saying is building the best technology for Indians by Indian, and here is an Indian company, startup, Reverie Language Technologies. Now it is part of Geo, but what a win. So don't see it as vision, because I'm seeing his vision. How do you reach 500 million people and be an Indian and win? So all the best, Arvind, and huge respect for you. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for this conversation.